Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wednesday Check-In with Dear with Cheney and Mr. Corey D. Moody and the financial series. On here is he? Are you on?
I'm here.
Yeah, see there, y'all, ladies and gentlemen, we are on everything. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. I'm doing well.
Good. I'm just
It sounds like the internet is slow, is intermittent. I don't hear you well.
yeah. Wants to do its own thing. Let me turn my volume up here. What about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There you go. So I
Yes.
turned my volume up a little bit, and we're gonna get it right, ladies and gentlemen. It's not really about us. It's about God and how we share what we do on Deal with Cheney, and not only that, check out other podcast opportunities with Corey D. Moody, the Health Podcast, and I maybe do something. My goodness, I may do something on a tune in. Just follow us. Click the like and the share and follow us on all social media platforms, whether it's his Podbean cast. There's just so much information in front of you. And we ask that you go on to our Zoom, that you register. You can go to my page. You can go to Corey's page. But again, it's not about us. It's about you. And we're trying to put practical tools in the toolbox. So blessed to be alive. Things started out real well, and then it seemed fell out this afternoon. I'm just, you run out of gas, but I've been looking forward to this time with you, and this time with on the financial series every week. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I need you to do two things. I need you to like it. I need you to share it. I need you to tell everybody in your house, community, all down the street about what's going on here. Well, I don't want to hold up anything. Stallion in the stable, so we're going to turn him loose right now. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, my good brother Corey D. Moody, certified public accountant, certified valuation analyst. You have the best that God could. Such great expertise, and brother, welcome tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I hope you can hear me. Pastor Cheney, you were going in and out, so I don't know if it was your mic or. So I just want to make sure that's coming across clear on the end where you are. But again, thank you, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful week, and things just continuously to grow and get better in our lives. And so we talked about internal controls, and I'm doing part two. You saw that the promo was about part two, that because we want to continue on this internal control issue and kind of give us some more information. And first of all, because it helps me kind of retool, my processes, my systems, and what is all this stuff going on? What's all this stuff mean? And I found in my life, I've had so many activities and that daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, that there's so many activities in our lives. And how do we kind of reconcile or control those activities? When I'm talking about controls, I'm not talking about it from a, let's say, aspect of doing what you want, that I don't want no one else to help. Not a control from that perspective, but controls that gives us indicators that let us know when things are out of whack. And then we kind of talked about that's kind of what that's what it kind of happens with us as auditors. How much do we rely on internal controls? The more reliance on internal controls, the less substantive work that we have to do. So I have this little slide, you know, good internal controls reduce substantive tasks in which, that's the accounting definition. And it also gives us a higher probability that the numbers and things that we're looking at are correct, and we can rely on them. We can rely on that information. And then there's a risk-based approach that you kind of saw back to that. But I just want to say, though, when we go in the field, when we can rely on those internal controls, that's less testing of details, less time we have to spend. And so, and still have the same information or the same level of assurance or reduction of risk, but comfortable that these numbers are correct. And I start looking at, how do I apply this even in my life? So what happened, I had a little turn trip, got to tell you this story. And it's kind of try to bring controls into a little clarity. So there are things I do want to show this slide before I move on. Let me kind of, I think I should go through the rest of this slide before I get into it. All right, so one of the things we're talking about is so when we got processes and detects errors and corrects errors by the process necessary for bookkeeping and introduce possibility for errors. So processes are what we kind of do. That might be a reconciliation, may be a process. A control may be, is it reviewed monthly on a timely basis? What controls are in place to make sure that they're done? So how the reconciliations are done, that's the process. But the control is verifying that it's done. Okay? And then we have what we call entity versus activity level controls. Kind of like the top, that's management. How does management, what controls are put in place for management? Because it's easy for management to override controls because they're the boss, right? And then activity level controls. Remember, we just kind of talked about the reconciliations and, things like that. So what happens? Happens in that situation. So now the activity levels says, did you get copies of the bank statement? Did you make sure that the bank balance and the book balance? So that's an activity. I'm changing data, doing bookkeeping. So those are processes. I'm doing the bank recs. So now what happens? Now, how does that apply to how it affect and how it applies, in my life? And so I had a quick trip last, actually Monday. I flew from Las Vegas to Atlanta, then I came right back. And it was a 24-hour trip. So probably the last 15 years of my life, I did that constantly. Maybe not just 24 hours, but I used to travel a whole bunch, probably 150,000 miles to 200,000 miles a year. So I was in the air a lot. And so I had to put certain processes in place to allow me to maximize my time for what I needed to do, not using it in the airports. So I had to put processes in place to buy me more time. How can I get more time to do what I need to? So, and if that meant that I could stay in the office an hour longer before I caught Marta to the airport and go right to the airport and hop on that plane, give myself enough time. Hey, that's why I use Clear and TSA pre-check, because I need those extra benefits to cut line. You spend or TSA pre-check, and there are so many things that we already have, certain credit cards, that those things come free. You don't really have to pay. You have American Express Platinum and some Chase cards and things of that nature. Certain credit cards, that's why you read all that stuff, that you can get these things free because it's part of your membership of being a card holder. So now, literally hours, literally days in a year, by having these things in my life or using these tools, I've created some time. So I do this turn trip, and I hadn't done a turn in a while because I'm just not pushing my body like that anymore. So I got controls in place to make sure I don't do that. Well, how did this one happen? Well, this is what you might call, sometimes there are outliers. Sometimes you will get in and start talking about samples. What's the sample size? Well, sometimes when you look at sampling, you may have outliers. Those unusual ones that may only happen once. You can pull it. And I don't, and this is going to be an outlier because it's an entity. I'm not going to do this like this. But this one time, okay. And it was a good test to see where my body was and also to test my processes. So my processes, how do my processes work when I kind of go to the airport? Well, see, actually my processes changed. Remember, I just said I like to kind of time it, stay an hour extra in the office, then go to the airport, because I know I can get to the airport. I can leave my office, be in a seat in 45 minutes in Atlanta. But I realized I was always pushing and pushing. So now what I do, I get to the airport early. And I've been doing this for, maybe the last, few years. So I try to get there a little early now. That is a new process. My process from getting to the airport is now to get there 2 hours early, 30 minutes early, and it gives you 30 minutes. You just walk in and board the plane because I need that extra. So now I got to put controls in place to make sure I don't go back to that. So if I ever go and I do a run, a real short, and I'm rushing through the airport, I got to go back and look what happened. Why did I have to rush? And so I left my wallet, well, not my wallet. I left my license at home. I got in the airport. I was sitting, just kind of going through my checklist. I was didn't look right. Something was missing. And what was revealed, I didn't have my credit card and driver's license. And so I'm going to Atlanta, so I needed to rent a car. But because I got there early, I was able to say, hey, Kim, can you bring me my license, please? I need it. I need to rent a car. Now, could I have gotten by, maybe had to do some other things, maybe When I got on the other end, yes. And I also could have just been all, but because I had the control, my new processes, has my process for that gets me there early. Get it in time, come and catch the plane, and still not even run. So it was kind of no hurt, no harm, no foul, however that term goes. So I get to Atlanta. So it's like nothing happened. So what happened in between with this debacle with the license and how I respond to that dictates the rest of that trip. Because the goal is just to make sure I get on that plane and have everything I need. And so the process and the control allow that to happen. So we put these things in our lives, and it's not always about getting more money as it is getting more time. Because time is that elusive commodity that is equal to everybody. So I'm going to go back to the screen again. And I want to, so down here, we got these entity level controls. So that is the high level control. That's management. And so one of the controls for management is to have that accountability to the rest of the team, because the rest of the companies relying that management's not going to override the controls. And then the entity level, everybody's working those processes. And so one of the things, is the fight, the struggle, is the accountability to ourselves and not entity level controls. Because the entity level, those top layer controls, let's say, that I can just go in and say, hey, look, write me this check. Well, the rule is put in a requisite. It has to be signed and all the proper protocol. How first, if it's an emergency check, here's the procedure for that. But typically our procedure is we don't write a check. It's a week. We get your invoice process. Well, if the boss is always coming in, write a check, they are overriding that process, overriding that control that says that you have to put in a requisition. It has to be signed. It's a week turnaround. We only write checks once a week. So the entity level controls for me is I can't override stuff. I got to let it play out, because that's the control or the process that's in place. And for me, that's my accountability for my time. Time we can quantify into dollars. Because the more we can understand, the more I understood time. Really managing that time and not just making sure I make all my appointments on time, but compacting that schedule, not to rush, but eliminating waste. Can I eliminate the time life? So now I'm walking, I'm doing things, I'm living my life. I want to override something. But what now stops me from overriding is I got one more level of an entity level control that has to be voted on, it has to be dealt with. And that's my accountability to God now. That, okay, This was what stops me, prevents me from overriding my own entity level controls. So now all these processes that I have, all that fit in. Because these processes help the information or whatever we're doing get completed. And that's why our controls are continuously evolving instrument. You're constantly trying to make it better and better. We're constantly trying to, be better people. At least I am. I'm trying. And I need that connection to God. And so that entity level control now, see, really, I'm at the activity level control now. See, I'm letting him go ahead and design all the processes. Now I got to follow the process. Now it's on me to do these activity levels. And what it has allowed me to do to just enjoy every second is a little special now. Because that, again, remember, I can do all things through Christ. Philippians 4:13, I believe it is. As I said, and in the scripture, it's a financial scripture. That ability and that time quantifies to dollars of just unimaginable. I'm content that I can do all things that I need to get done financially because that contentment, that entity level, I'm following those processes and those systems. That's what makes this. And I just want to show you that using these numbers and using your financials sometimes in your life can help you see those things. The indicators. We've always talked about the indicators. I got to turn that down. I apologize. What are the indicators that allows us to make changes in our lives, in our financials, be good stewards, not just the dollars, but the time that we've been entrusted with. So this is just another way of showing you how to put indicators in your lives. And everybody's controls are going to look totally different. Everybody's controls are different. Remember, we talked about early on, your covenant is different. Your contract is different. So when we put in these processes, we can define our controls and then we can give them to them. Brother Cheney, that's all I have on that tonight. Come on and rescue me.
Why do I need to rescue you? These internal controls, man, that's what it's all about. Indicator. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. And again, a little internet issue. I think it's on your end, my friend.
Not again.
Yeah, it just froze up a little bit, but it's okay. I would say something, but
I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Say when you got a lot of room, you got to make sure you can cover the whole area with your internet. But again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. And again, as we become more comfortable with you, we hope and pray that you have become more comfortable with us in the information that people like to tune in and log on and watch it later. That's good. Sometimes you can do it once the house is quiet. That's good. Again, us every week as we strive for consistent, for strong communication, and strive to challenge all of us to be better with our. Bless you as we continue the financial series on next Wednesday. God be the glory. And again, isn't this something? The whole month is over with just like that. It's May already. So again, we have so much to be thankful for. Thank you for joining us. God bless you.